good morning, South Africa. I go by the name Moeketsi, my man, and this is Mzansi Affairs. I can see it's a really beautiful morning, and I hope everyone is up and enjoying. I'm not alone. I'm with my fellow co-host, Mr. Banele. Mr. Banele, how are you doing, sir?
Good day, good day. How are you doing?
Yeah, man, top of the morning, and I would say no complaints. The sun is out, but winter is creeping in which I must tell people to prepare themselves because whenever there's winter, we know there's load shading and we need to be prepared. We need to stay warm each and every time as much as right now it's sunny day, but we need to prepare. So I think my mindset is set to that right now that I need to prepare for winter because winter is my favorite season of all of the seasons. I don't know about you. Which season is your favorite?
I also prefer the cold, so that would be winter. But I started enjoying winter after school, after matric, because in matric or during my schooling years, I used to wear school shoes, and they were not really good at preserving heat. So I knew that, when it came to winter, it was my most miserable time during schooling years. But it changed after that because I started wearing comfortable shoes and I no longer felt that cold. So yes, I also enjoy winter much more. In fact, I enjoy when the blankets that you would normally put on top, they give you that pressure to feel like something is on top of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when I get those peaceful nights. But yeah, I used to love coffee, but I don't know what happened. But maybe this winter it's something that I will try and bring back. Drinking tea and all of that. Yeah.
I also believe that seasons, they also go with growth, because when you are young, you don't understand. You always, you hate the coldness, you hate the heat that comes with summer. But whenever you grow up, you get to understand that, you know what, man, I think these seasons, they are there for reasons so that they can prepare us, in terms of our body temperature, and everything that has to do, with all of those seasons. Without wasting any time, ladies and gentlemen, this is Share Online. Please do not forget to go on our social media platforms, subscribe on YouTube, press the like button on Facebook, and also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and, do the right thing. Comment down below and tell us what you think, because today we are going to unpack a topic that has been, something that is being discussed out there since from 2020, if I am not mistaken. It was a pandemic, to put it like that, because it's been a pressing issue, especially for, the social and health implications that we have come across. So today we're going to discuss teenage pregnancy. So when you hear teenage pregnancy, what comes first to your mind?
Yeah, so obviously these two words are concatenated together, teenage and pregnancy. So we're dealing with premature pregnancy. I mean, we understand that we need to multiply and subdue the earth, but then everything has its season. So if you were to take fruit from a tree that is not yet ripe, then it is a premature fruit. So when it comes to young girls, even young boys, engaging in sexual activities, the result of that is pregnancy because there's not a lot of education. Now, I think we can have the discussion around, is it moral or is it okay for them to even be having sex another time? But we know that they are. But as a result of not being responsible, then STIs and pregnancy becomes the byproduct of their actions. So it is essentially pregnancy from these young ones, whether it's planned or unplanned, but due to sex, whether it's responsible or not, and it's not yet time. It's not yet time. And we can even debate this because there's been a whole lot of talks in Parliament with regards to what is the legal age. I mean, the legal age for drinking, the legal age for driving, the legal age for a whole lot of these things. And what's the legal age for having a kid? It's still a debate that is ongoing. But in today's day and age, we are experiencing that the young ones are exposed to sexual content from a very young age, right? And the result of that is just like in 2020, there was a high rate of kids under the age of 20, right? That fell pregnant. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, hearing you saying those kind of things, it brings me back to the stats that was released by Statistics South Africa. They reported that almost 34,000 teenage pregnancies during 2020, were reported, and with 660 of those being girls under the age of 13 years old. So it brings me to the main question that what actually causes, this kind of thing that we, young girls fall under teenage pregnancy. I mean, like 660 girls under the age of 20, those ones, 660, they were under the age of 13 years, So coming right now, discussing the causes, I've also heard that, one of the causes is lack of parental care, also poverty. But now I'm asking myself, how does one, think of engaging in sexual activities while, they are from a disadvantaged background?
Yeah. In fact, before we even dive into the teenagers, we know that when someone comes from an impoverished background, there tends to be a whole lot of pregnancy that takes place in the area. So if you were to take a look at a squatter camp, right, in terms of social activities, there's quite, it's basically non-existent. So as a result, it seems like people do what people do, okay? And that's fine. I believe that, a person can have as many kids as they want to. But the one thing that should come along with that is those kids are your responsibility. Cool. So, and these are adults we're talking about. So now if we were to then take it back to the teenagers that are living in impoverished backgrounds, there's plenty of reasons why they would want to engage in such activities. Number one, again, there's lack of social activities. So if someone joined a club, whether it's a swimming club or a dance club or whatever kind of a club it is, this would essentially take their minds off the things that would lead them to having unprotected sex. So fully agree that poverty, yes, does lead to lack of accessing social activities. And then the other one as well is, kids will be kids or teenagers will be teenagers. But then I'm curious to know and understand if whether our schooling system is also doing enough. Now, I know that this is a double-edged sword kind of a conversation because there was a talk a while back about condoms being introduced in the school, right? And we saw that there was a divide in between. There were two camps. The one said it is good because they are already having sex, and the other ones said that you are now promoting them or giving them the leeway to have sex, right? So it is a bit of a mixed bag on that front. But I guess, at the end of the day, sexual education in the school environment is necessary. Now, we know that life orientation, as far as subjects go, is one of those subjects that has to talk about that. Question is, are they actually doing that, right? And to a certain degree, when someone is engaging in theory versus practicals, it is as if the information comes in and it goes out. So maybe there isn't that much of a practice or trying to live that thing. But in terms of mechanisms in place to support a teen living their best life, I think it's non-existent. Yeah.
I mean, going back to the parliamentary response in June 2022, the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, revealed that between April 2021 and March 2022, girls aged 10 to 19 had almost 90,000 pregnancies. The current statistics on adolescent teenage pregnancies show that there has been a significant increase in young girls falling pregnant since then. These statistics reveal that over 150,000 young girls were pregnant in the 2022 and 2023 financial year. These numbers do not factor in variables such as backstreet abortions, home birth, miscarriages, and babies whose birth are not registered.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, these kind of numbers, and also what the Department of Education is trying to do, to mitigate all of these kind of things that are happening out there. In terms of the sexual education that is being put out there, because I remember there were parents who were actually saying, we don't want our kids to learn about these things, so what are we saying then if we say this sex education does not go into schools, does not go into their curriculum, so that they can know and have better understanding of, falling into this teenage pregnancy thing? I mean, if parents say, let us do it the other way, what other ways are they talking about? Because some, they say, please, I will homeschool my child. So I want to know the difference between homeschooling your child and preventing your child from being taught about sex at school. What kind of difference does it make? Because does it going to make the child not fall into teenage pregnancy, or does it going to bring any difference that of some sort that we don't know of?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. And it's something I also wonder myself, because I was about to say that in terms of the sex education, it has to be done in tandem with the parents as well, because it cannot be something that's left purely up to the school to teach about sex education, because whether we like it or not, a curious mind will always take something home, whether it's from the streets, whether it's from the school or from the friends, but they will be taking something home. So I think that as a parent or a guardian, it is also our responsibility to work alongside the curriculum that teaches about sex education. Now, sometimes we may debate things like this is too extreme and so on. I remember in biology when we were looking at the human anatomy. I mean, when we saw those pictures, to us it was a joke, because hey man, there's someone naked here, right? That's a penis, that's a vagina, and all of that stuff, and we made jokes around it. But then in terms of trying to normalize the conversations that are uncomfortable, I think it has to be a partnership. Yeah, it can't be alone, and you can't also homeschool and then think that's it as well. It has to be done, because your child is a product of the school, the community, their friends, you as a parent, as well as the family. So they are a product of all of these ingredients put together. So if you try and deprive them from one thing, then I think you're setting them up for failure. Yep. So it has to be
a partnership.
It has to be a partnership. That's how I feel like it should be done, because just the other day, right, there was a huge talk in America about, gender identity. And then there was a big outcry from parents that, why are you teaching my child, the different kinds of genders, if I may say, that are there? And they said that, they will take it upon themselves to teach their children with regards to different genders that are out there. So they said that kids shouldn't be learning about such things. So obviously there you can see that there is a big difference between the two. But I would have maybe liked it so that the parents and the school talk to each other and then ask if this is okay. Because let's not forget that we come from different religious backgrounds and all of that stuff, right? Yeah. But also have a question for you, because you mentioned that, kids as young as 10 were pregnant. Now, I'm just curious that with regards to that child who is 10 years old, was there a rape case that was opened, or is it, someone who is their peer, more or less the same age group, but chances are you find that it's someone older? That it's not just a child that's pregnant, but then it's also a case of rape that took place, molestation that took place. So, yeah, I mean, I get it with the 18, 19-year-olds, and to a certain degree, there's also that level of consent coming from them. But the younger ones, what are we saying as a country?
With the younger ones, there's an article that I read because they were trying to find out what is the cause of, children young as under the age of 13 getting pregnant. So out of that percentage that was calculated, they found out that there are parents, who are very disadvantaged to a point that whenever, hunger hits, they would sell, their kids to older guys, who want to sleep with the young children. So that's what I found out in that article. And they also spoke, about these, what you call in the rural areas, child marriage. Is a child marriage, is arranged marriage. You would find out that whatever that they're doing out there is just done traditionally until
but it's a young child.
It's a young child until maybe the child, travels, come this side, or the parents come this side. They want to do something, that has to do with registering them, with something. So they find that, okay, this child wants to register in a high school, a primary school, and then when time goes, they find out that, okay, this child has a child. They see in school, the performance of the child, what's happening, until, when they go deep into finding out what's happening with the child, that the child has a child and the mother is encouraging the child, to have more children, because when they come this side, they find that, when you have a child, you can register them for the social security thing.
That's also another huge factor there.
So
it's not only teenagers, but then you'll find that the catalyst why some of our sisters have kids is because of that social grant.
Yeah. So those are the things that I've actually find out of young children younger than 10, because sometimes you ask yourself, like, how is a child, younger than 13 years, know these kind of things. Again, this side, because there's rural and also urban, so this side you find that there's influence in media. Influence in media, whereby these kids are exposed to different kinds of content, in their cell phones and their devices. And then they want to engage in experiences that their friends tell them to do. And then from there it comes to a point whereby we ask ourselves, what is beyond the education that we can give children? Because so here they say the ways to prevent teenage pregnancy are educate about sexuality, pregnancy, and contraceptives. But when you go out and dig deep what causes this, and then you go to social events, and then you find people engaging in sexual activities, intoxicated, mental state, Yeah. And then the department doesn't go far by saying, most of them are unplanned pregnancies. But the education is always about, learn about contraceptives, learn about healthy ways. But they do not mention that some, when they're intoxicated, they don't think about those things. The education that you have been given for, like, I don't know how many years, immediately you go to a social event, drink with your friends, and then you meet someone, and then they want you to engage. In the morning, you wake up, and then you get yourself, maybe after some weeks, you find out that you're pregnant without even knowing. So in terms of, answering your question, I believe that, in these young ones, it's way too deep than we can ever think of, because we can say, okay, we can't say most of them were raped. because some of them, are put in early marriages. Some of them is social media influence, peer pressure, and
But now the rape that I'm referring to can also be from the perpetrator themselves and the parent, because if the parent is consenting to have a child that is not legally of age to engage in sexual activities, then that is frowned upon. Now, I understand that discussion is also a sensitive one, because when we speak culture, culture is culture, right? And maybe for some cultures, it's okay for a 15-year-old to get married.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
we come with this societal influence to say, no, this is wrong, and so on and so on. So I understand in that case that, there are, I mean, this is just, we're going to be pulling hairs the whole day.
Yeah.
So I fully agree that, yes, for some, but I'm also thinking, for some parents, in fact, both of them should be charged, the parent and the perpetrator themselves, right? Yeah. Now, there is something that the government is doing as well. So as much as we feel like there's not a lot of intervention, but to a certain degree, I'll only speak of what I have seen, right? Now, they have introduced a couple of, programs. And these programs are aided towards, helping us understand what's going on. And not just only for kids, but also for people that are of age. But now it brings us back to the conversation where, if as a adult I can go to the local clinic and get a contraceptive, that one where you put under your skin, right? I think it's, for like 2 years or something. Can a child, I mean, we're talking teenage pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
So in order for us to prevent teenage pregnancy, can they go and get such a contraceptive? Can a teenager go and get condoms? Can a teenager take an injection? And I can already anticipate the answer. The answer is no. So the question then is, what is it that we are trying to solve for? So are we trying to say no kids, or are we saying don't engage in sexual activities? Because depending on the thing that we're trying to solve for, then the solution will sort of try and match it. But if we want, to stop kids from having sex, I mean, it's also a personal decision. It comes down to that education.
Yeah.
It comes down to that education, but also not just education alone, but also it being reinforced around, social activities, making sure that there's programs. I mean, for example, we've got a tennis court here. When last did you see people playing tennis? There's weeds growing here. So imagine that young girl who's interested in playing tennis, and the government is not doing what they're supposed to do by making sure that the sporting facilities are there, available for the young ones to take advantage of. So as a result, they then look for other activities and then
to participate in.
Yeah.
Well, guys, please, if you just joined the conversation, please remember YouTube, subscribe, and leave down your comment. Also on Facebook, tell us what you think about the teenage pregnancy, and discuss with us the ways that we can actually prevent teenage pregnancy in our communities. Exactly. After the break, we are going to conclude. So please do not forget, my WhatsApp line number is open. 0615247758 is the number to send your voice note, your comment, and call us and tell us, what you think about the teenage pregnancy as a whole. Ways, to prevent. And is it a good thing that young, kids can have kids at an early stage? Please, after the break, join us. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still tuned in into Mzansi Affairs, everything that is happening around Mzansi right now. As we are continuing and concluding about our topic, we leave this to the public to discuss. What do you think about teenage pregnancy, the causes, and everything that we can do as communities to prevent teenage pregnancy in our communities? In conclusion, what would you like, to offer or to say to parents out there and to young children out there in terms of moving forward and preventing such things?
Yeah, so I feel like all parties need to come to the table. We're talking tradition, right, culture and all of that. We're talking the schooling system, we're talking the government, the parents, the community, and then also us as boys to men, because we also need to be educated that, look, when you see someone of a certain age, that person is not for you, right? So, yeah, I think that we all need to come on the same table, speak about it, and then find an amicable solution for everyone, and then also involve, everyone, because there are testimonies of the cultural approach working for, such individuals. You get what I'm saying? So I'd say that this is a discussion not to be had in silos, but then everyone should be invited to have a say, and then let's all decide. Now, is that feasible? I don't know, but I think that it's a problem for everyone. So everyone needs to come forward, even people at home. Add your comments, guys.
Yeah, please add your comments, guys, and tell us maybe about a specific website that that people can visit, that we can share with the young ones out there, so that the word could go out, so that we become a better community into making sure that these young ones focus on building their careers, their lives, instead of raising kids as their kids. My name is Moeketsi, my money, and this was Mzansi Affairs, joined by Mr. Banele. Till we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week, same time, same place.
Thank you.